Had to sell his house to pay for the commissions.
Yes, something like that. I will lose the designation soon. I've been averaging, I think, 4 or 5,000 shares a day recently, so I'm back to normal.
Last week and had to sell his house
For
to
the
pay for the
record, I was
commissions.
green that day, even after commissions. It was excessive. Like that. I will lose the designation soon. I've been averaging, I think, 4.
So you got it under control. That's good. All right. All right, guys. So for those of you, I had a couple of people worried about Carlos. He is absolutely fine, just exhausted. For any of you that have had a grumpy baby, you know that sometimes when they decide that midnight is party time, there's not much you can do about it. So he's just been dealing with that for a couple of days. Norm, I guess you know what that's like.
I don't. I don't miss those times. Still happens on occasion. Instead, my son just sneaks into bed, and it doesn't even wake me up. I just wake up with a tiny person next to me.
There you go. Oh, yes. We used, my wife and I used to joke about the letter H because the child always seems to sleep diagonally between the two of us. So.
Oh, yeah. Feet in the throat.
There you go. All right. So, the joys of parenthood, but it's all worth it. Trust me, guys. All right. Norman, if you can send me the announcements for a little bit later.
They will be in your email in just a minute.
Fantastic. So, guys, as we always do, why don't we start by taking a peek at some of what we were trading yesterday? And I actually wanted to start by looking at UAA. It was actually my one-and-done trade yesterday. And I specifically wanted to point it out just because you may wonder, at the end of every one of these pre-market shows, you know, Carlos always does levels, and you know, I'll do those levels as well. And I just, you know, there's a really good reason why we do them, and to me, UAA was a great example as to how important those levels are. We like to say sometimes those levels are magic because it's just amazing sometimes how they come into play. So yesterday, if you look at the daily chart, we'd set some levels. I found a couple of levels here off of the daily. You can see down at my bottom chart. The most significant one I'll point out is 1650, which, you know, I went back in time and I said, look at, you know, where this had spiked down to way back in December of 2018. That may be significant. Let's put a mark on it. The other thing I did is I looked at pre-market. So this is the pre-market from, right here is pre-market from yesterday. And when you see pre-market from yesterday, I was seeing that there seemed to be a level of support right through here before it dropped off. So it bounced a couple of times off of this 1745 level. And I said, all right, so that was significant, and I had placed a level there. So the market opens, and look at this candle right off the open. It spikes up. The high of day, exactly 1745.47, right to this level. I actually took an entry as close as I could to that, and I wrote it all the way down. My final exit was at 1650. Why? Because I saw it hesitating here. I had a daily level that we'd put in the pre-market, and it never got back to that. It pulled back up and then just bounced around in this until the close. To me, it was good reinforcement why we do this in the morning, you know, and why these levels are important, because you can actually trade off them. Both my entry and my exit were due to the fact that I had confidence because of those levels I had set. All right, so that being said, there were other things in play yesterday. I know a few of people in the room were watching both Sprint and T-Mobile, TMUS. They a little disappointing, I would say, in the trading yesterday. Both sort of chopped around, didn't do anything great. Sprint, you know, this is very narrow range here, quite frankly. Right, this is a 35-cent range, top to bottom, all day. There was a trade. I know one of our moderators was able to take a trade on it, and you know, he sort of took it right here below VWAP, slowly, very slowly, rode it up for basically into the close. But you know, for all of that work, he got 25-30 cents out of it. But hey, green is green. The other thing we were watching, Roku. We had mentioned how, you know, hey, it wasn't in play. It looks like it's come back in play 2 days in a row now. It has had some good movement, pulled down off the open, sort of one of those falling angel plays, we like to say, right? It was increasing into the pre-market yesterday, dropped, you could take it on the bounce back, and up it went, and sort of went up until sort of midday when it fell again. Last but not least, I'll mention, because this will come back into play as we're going through today's active movers. With Shopify, we were taking a look at it pre-market yesterday. We were watching it carefully to say, can it break 500? And it got to 499.70, 499.80, something like that before it failed. Never made it through 500. But look where it is this morning. So, and we were going to start right there on the gappers. Let me just ask Norm, anything else that you would want to point out from yesterday that was significant?
No, not necessarily, but I'll jump right into just market news overall, and then you can hit the gappers real quick.
Thank you, because I forgot to ask you about that yesterday.
No problem. SPY is up 0.4%, just under 0.5% this morning. Pretty decent volume, 532,000 shares traded so far on the SPY itself. I think most of this is just coming on earnings and maybe, seeing that the market's not going to plunge due to coronavirus, at least not at this time. So I know that oil forecasts were cut. Demand forecasts were cut substantially due to fears over OPEC's demand forecast was slashed. Big over concern for slowdown due to coronavirus. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That's anti-inflationary and could, be of some help in some aspects. So anyway, that's all I got this morning as far as data coming out today. Got Jerome Powell's testifying again, and then that's really about it.
So pretty light day. There was a speech from Powell yesterday. Didn't he talk yesterday?
It wasn't a speech. It's his congressional testimony that he does. I believe it's like twice a year or something.
Okay. Okay, because that. Well, I know. In return, there was a presidential tweet about how the markets were doing great until he opened his mouth, and then everything started to tank. So there's obviously not a lot of love lost there. But it's for us, from a market perspective, all we care about is what is it going to do to any trade we're in or any potential trade we're looking at taking. So I guess we'll see what happens. What time is that today?
10 a.m. is when it starts, but it'll probably go on for several hours. So
right, okay, all right. So maybe not a huge impact, but we'll keep an eye on it just in case it is. All right, so let's take a look at what's moving this morning. Top of the list certainly is Shopify. I mentioned already, so couldn't break 500 yesterday. So far, pre-market, it's opening up at 544. Feels a little Tesla-ish, but Shopify is moving on news. I think, Norm, they had earnings overnight.
Blowout earnings. Their earnings per share came out at 47 cents versus an expected 23. So over double what the street was expecting, and the revenues came in a good amount higher as well.
Yeah. Now, guys, looking at Shopify pre-market, I've never liked trading Shopify. It's very local for me. It's actually headquartered in my own town here, but it doesn't mean it's good trading. We've got some gaps here. The volume's a little spotty. We're going from 20,000 shares a minute to 100 shares. So, it's not a great trader. We'll keep it on the list because maybe today's the day when it's going to trade nicely. We'll see what happens. It certainly has been on a tear. If you look at where the price has been, in fact, if I move back, a year ago or so, this thing was, just trying to break $100, $150-ish, and now it's up over 500. So it's certainly been a mover, but we'll see if it's a good trader for today.
I will agree with you on that being difficult to trade at times. The spread can be nasty, and like you said, the price. The order flow isn't consistent. It'll fly through and then just die off, and I hate that when I'm trading something, especially when it's a $550 stock.
Yeah, exactly. So Shopify is dual traded, guys. We have to remember that. It is traded in the Canadian markets as well as in the US. So that can have some impact, but anyways, we'll keep an eye, but not necessarily a great trader. Now, what does trade well, even though it doesn't move a lot generally, is Teva. Teva Pharmaceutical, I think, was also an earnings play today, if I recall.
Yeah, I haven't dug too deep into Teva because it's not on my gappers, but they beat EPS and revenues.
It was interesting. I read a couple of articles this morning on Teva. They sort of basically met their estimates or barely beat it, depending whom you believe. I was reading that they had late guidance and therefore Teva was down. And when I went and looked at it, it's up here about 5%. So definitely some difference of opinion out there within the news media. So we'll see what that brings for today, guys. I have traded this. I actually don't mind trading it. I think Norm, it's not one of your favorite traders because, guys, you're trading this for pennies. Like a 15-cent move can be huge on this. Every once in a while it'll move more, but you've got to line your trade assuming that you're only going to get 10 to 20 cents out of it. All right, moving on. MU. What do we got going on in MU today? MU.
They got an upgrade out of UBS from neutral to buy and a price target increase from 47 to 75.
Okay, I think they're being called probably the biggest the semiconductor stock with the most opportunity in the markets right now, but who knows if that plays out in their stock price. We'll see. So, all right, we'll keep MU because when it does go, it can actually move quite nicely. Roku up on the list. I was just talking about Roku because we were keeping an eye on it from yesterday. Actually, I didn't see any news on it. Anything pushing this today, or is it just, again, doing Roku stuff?
No, I think it's breaking out from a downward wedge, and it's a pretty significant technical move. It's also broken above its 50-day moving average, heading into earnings. Like I said yesterday, earnings are tomorrow night on this. Somebody probably knows something that's goosed it a little bit and popped it out of that descending wedge it's been in.
Yeah. Guys, yesterday you can see on my chart in purple here, I've got the level that we had set, and it's just moving above that level. So that, to me, as Norm says, is an area of significance. So we'll put it on here. We'll set some new levels and maybe keep an eye on it after the open. CVS, another one of these stocks that are not often a good mover, but it's gapping on news this morning.
Yeah, CVS beat their earnings per share by 3% and their revenues by 4.3%. So that is what is popping it up, and their guidance, more importantly, is pretty strong for the year.
Yeah, I see some obvious levels here. So CVS, I find, so it's one I've
heard both sides. Let me clarify that real quick, Peter.
Yeah,
I've heard both sides of the CVS guidance. Some people impressed by it, some not. So as of right now, it looks like the people that are somewhat impressed are winning that battle, but who knows?
Yeah. But we'll see, because the big money's not in it yet. Based on the price action right now, guys, there was a little pop. It's flatlined ever since about 7 a.m. So to me, that's a warning sign. I've traded CVS successfully in the past, and I didn't mind it, but I have found on many occasions it will chop very unpredictably at the open, and it can be a nightmare. So I'm not super fond if the news isn't significantly strong in one direction. Again, we'll put it on here. We'll try and set some levels, but, again, fair warning, could be ugly. We'll see. Valet, I'm not even going to look at. I know that it's on the gappers often. It's a foreign mining stock. Both things mean that it doesn't often trade well. BHP Billiton also on this list. Won't be looking at. Lyft. So Lyft, I think, wasn't last night when they had their earnings on Lyft?
Yeah, they did have earnings last night, and their biggest issue here is their loss and the amount they're spending. It's the same kind of story that hit Uber last year. Lyft originally had come out said they believe they'd be profitable by the end of 2021. Investors were hoping for an update on that. Like Uber came out and said they expect to be profitable by the end of this year. They got no such reassurance from the CEO, and therefore it's getting a 5% haircut this morning.
I love that, right? I mean, it's got to be tough being Lyft in an Uber world when Lyft actually had good earnings. They beat the estimates, so did what they said they were going to do. But because they're only in prime competitor, and Uber said accelerated their profitability marker, and they didn't. They're getting hit this morning. So we'll put it on the list and we'll see what happens. mRNA, it's been on offer list a lot the last few days. Still not a big fan of it. However, I think I saw that there's a secondary offering. They're taking advantage of their higher stock price to suck some more money out of the markets.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, so we'll see. Secondary offerings aren't often great news. You can see it's down about 7%. It may drive the stock price down. So far, pre-market, looks okay, but not great. So, we'll set some levels. Probably won't be on my primary list. CYBR is here. And this one confused me. So, Norm, maybe you can help me because the news I read doesn't match with the stock price action this morning.
Yeah, I mean, they beat their estimates pretty strongly, but their guidance was very soft. So that's why you're getting this drop this morning.
I didn't see that about the guidance, so that makes sense. Usually the guidance overrides earnings. Even if you beat the earnings, basically stock price is forward leaning.
Yeah.
So,
this is true.
PVG, again, something I don't normally look at. This is another resource company. Oh, it's Canadian as well. So I don't know. I don't like the pre-market. I'm just going to write it off unless, Norm, you think I should keep it.
No,
I don't like it, guys. It's just, again, I just find the mining companies, especially foreign mining companies, just never trade well. Last on the list is the big one for this morning in my mind, PBBY, because it can be a good trader. Down very significantly, 26%. And, well, tell us why, Norm.
They said that their holiday sales were disappointing. They're still in turnaround mode, which has been for all eternity, apparently, and their margins shrunk. It's all those coupons they send out. When they did that yesterday, I read something funny. One of the guys on FinTwit, and I apologize, I can't remember who to attribute it to, said BBBY is a reminder that's a mathematical reminder that something can drop by 20% every 3 months and never actually reach zero. So,
okay, that is actually technically correct. But, wow, yep. And I'm just going back on the daily charts, and yeah, now I see what they're talking about. This thing was $80 a couple of years ago, and now we're looking at 10. So there you go. All right.
So no matter how many 20% off coupons you take, you'll never get it for free. Just a reminder.
There you go. We'll be setting some levels on that. All right, guys. So with that, let's take a look at some announcements for this morning. Let me just get this up onto the screen here. And I think, we've been talking about it. I think it's time, Norm, that we maybe give you a little supporting background music. So, to you for announcements.
That's a little loud, but thank you. So the Valentine's Day discount ongoing, obviously, with Peter playing his romantic Get It On music. I would have chosen a different track, but 40% off lifetime one-time membership. Use the promo code LOVE. Amy will post the links for that as well.
You're going to criticize my choice of music?
You don't have to be a member. What's that?
I said you're going to criticize my choice of music. Well, all right.
I would have gone for, I don't know.
I picked it based on
something a little slower.
I picked it based on the name of the song. It's "Can't Get Enough of Your Love." So.
Yes. All right. For membership, just a reminder: if you're not a member of BBT, you can sign up for for membership. It's free. Utilize that resource. If you are already a member, do not do that. It will mess up your membership. New options tab, we changed out the call-outs for the options. Today, 4:15, Mike Bellafiore of SMB Capital in the Lifetime Room. He will be talking to us for our success webinar this week. And then Ed Martin for the next 2 weeks. We'll have him in a two-part trend trading series. February 21st, a week from Friday, New York City meetup. Andrew will be there. A number of us will be there. So hope to see some guys there. February 2020. I guess this is still going on. There's no. They're trying to figure out a date and a place. Dubai. I know Andrew will fly at the drop of a hat, so he could be there tomorrow for all I know. Check out the forum. Try to figure that out. March 7th, East Hampton. I guess this is a new one. Check the forum post that AB will put up. If you're watching this on YouTube, haven't been in the room, you'd like to give it a try, you can use the discount code PREMARKET24. It does not auto-renew or turn into any other kind of membership. Back to you, Peter.
Great. Thanks, Norm. All right. We're all full of love here with Valentine's Day coming upon us on Friday. Hopefully, if you're thinking of a membership, you will take advantage of that and join us. Let me just go first. Guys, if you have anything you want me to look at, post it either in the YouTube chat or in the room, and I'll add those. In the meantime, I'm going to take a look at the NASDAQ active gainers and losers, and we'll just see if there's anything there we want to take a look at. BBBY, we already talked about. ZSAN, I will never look at. TTNP, another one of those that comes up here. Seems to have a lot of pre-market volume, but let me link it to the right thing here. There we go. But never really trades well. So again, 30-cent stock, not worth looking at. VISL also been on our list, 20-cent stock, not worth our time. ONTX, as we know, not worth looking at. AMD. Now, I don't know if this is a sympathy play with the upgrade on MU. However, AMD often has early pre-market volume. Maybe worth looking at today. Yesterday, it had another strong day. You can see here on the daily chart, it's been up sort of a few days in a row, sitting at all-time highs. Whenever something is at all-time highs, it can be interesting. So maybe what I'll do is I will just sneak it in here, and we can take a peek at AMD. So that gets added to our list. Eric, this is Ericsson, foreign traded company, terrible pre-market. And when I say terrible, I mean, look, guys, we've got a lot of minutes here with like essentially no shares traded. Just not looking good at all. And then MU and mRNA we've already looked at. All right, on the gainers list, we've got DTSS, looks horrible. NTWK, nope. CEMI, nope. ACRS. And you may wonder, guys, why do we do this every morning? It's worth going through these because you just never know when something is going to jump up on here that may be worth taking a peek at. So, so far, nothing. I just saw HOTH, by the way, that had jumped up there, and now I'm looking at PERI, nothing there. So, ZSAN we already talked about. PTE, no, don't like the look of that. PDSB, another penny stock. BBBY we've already talked about. REXN is on the list. Now that had come up because it had news in the last couple of days. You can see this giant candle up. It's now sort of retracing a little bit of that. Unless it shows up on my gappers, on our scanners today, I'm not going to look at it. I'm not even going to bother setting levels, but it has been in play. If you're interested, feel free to take a peek at it, but I'm not going to add it here. And CYBR we already talked about. All right, so moving over to just the NYSE stuff. Quickly, I'll look at anything that's on here that's worth looking at. AIM, not trading great pre-market. It's a penny stock, yeah. Let's see, Nokia, foreign stock, no good. Salt, Shopify, we've talked about. PVG. So I'm not seeing anything else that I want to add. All right, well, we got AMD out of that, so that's okay. So let's now take our list and let's go through and set some levels. So Shopify, as we've mentioned, big mover of the morning, still up more than anything else in the market. It is just way above all levels. So, there's really nothing to set here. All I can say is I've got the high of yesterday's pre-market, which is at 499.88. As I said, couldn't quite break 500, well above that now, and I see that it's moving higher since we first mentioned it. So still motoring up here. All we can do is sort of look at the action from the pre-market to get an idea of what might happen at the open. Certainly there was a consolidation level around here. I'm going to set just something right at the top of this, which is, you know, I'm saying about 535 where it bounced. I may set another one right here at 545. You can see it sort of peaked here, came back, and now I might be using that as support. So we'll see if those have any significance once the market's open, but Shopify has certainly been strong so far this morning. Teva. All right, you can see I've already got a couple of levels set here on it. So obviously from looking at this prior $12, I would say is still significant. You can see it's sort of based on this in the early days of the first week of February. And then I've got a level here at $14.10, which is right where this gap. So I like to mark the top and bottom of gaps. So I've got two levels, one at 14.10, which is the top end of this gap, and the bottom end of this gap. You can see I've marked here at what is this here, about $13.12 or so. Let me see specifically. 13.10 exactly. So that's going to mark the gap, and you notice that our price is coming right up to the 13.10 in the pre-market right now. So to me, those are good levels I'll keep an eye on. If this thing goes higher, well, we may find an area of resistance here at 1572, but guys, frankly, I think that's a little bit of a stretch for it to get up that high. We'll see what happens. Teva's, I sort of like the daily chart. You know, it sort of had this bottoming back August, September, October, and now it's been steadily moving up. So it does have a chance to run up today, but again, set your expectations appropriately, that the run up may be 20 or 30 cents. If you're really lucky, maybe it goes 50. Okay, MU is near all-time highs here. Looking at the daily chart, I've got a previous daily level set right here at $58.40. I'm going to set the high here at 60.56, so I will be setting something right there at 60.56. Let's make sure it's exactly at the right spot. Let me look back. I cannot recall if this. So this is not quite all-time highs for MU. It did spike higher, so let's take a look at that spike activity. So I'm going to set here something here, 63.50-ish. So it has the ability to get that high. And when did it do this? It was up this high back about a year ago. So May of 2018. It's a little more like almost 2 years ago, actually. So we'll see what happens. It could very well, see further increases today with this upgrade. We'll see where it goes. AMD, as we mentioned, also now AMD is actually at all-time highs. I said I can't. It amazes me. AMD is up here at $54. I was so excited. I remember early in my full-time day trading career, I was in this stock when it broke $13 for the first time, and I thought that was awesome. I should have just held it. But anyways, here we are at all-time highs, up at 54.50-ish. If I look at the pre-market, since I don't have daily levels to use, I'll look at the pre-market. Pre-market, certainly, it spiked highest here at 54.60, but I also see a level that came off of here at 54.58. Yeah, 54.58. So I'll just set a level there and keep an eye on it. And then to the low side, looks like it's getting some support right around here, 54.47. We'll see if that has any significance whatsoever. Again, it may not. It's not a very strong level, just off of a few candles pre-market, but it gives me at least something to look at up here in the stratosphere. All right, Roku. I do like the look of Roku, and we definitely have some levels off of it. The one most obvious to me, probably right about here at 151.19. As you can see, some support back here in October of last year. And then it just poked through that in December. More closer to the action, I'd like to set a level right here at about 144. Yeah, it should be 144.20. Let me set that level. Just because it bounced off of that previously. And then maybe I'll mark the high of this candle at look at that, 149.49. All right. That feels significant right before the 149.50 marker. So we'll see if it gets up that high. If it goes lower, we've got previous day's highs and lows, which are already marking for us. And then I've got a couple levels even lower that you can see here down at 121 and 120. So I don't think that's going to come into play today, but if it does, we're ready for it. CVS. All right, so conflicting news on CVS. Some people are happy, some people are not. For the happy ones, the high I can see that was set back in January was at 76.44, so I will set a level right there at 76.44, which coincidentally, if you look at the high so far pre-market, 76.35, so it's coming right up into that range, and then 77 right here, so I'll set one at 77, so that gets my high level. So not all-time high. You can see we were up a little higher earlier back in 2018. If this thing really, really runs, maybe 80.50 here is a significant level. So I will mark that. 80.50. And for those that are unhappy with the price, let's see, where has it moved pre-market? So our low of pre-market here is 71.11 exactly. I'm going to mark a level here at 71.69 because I see it sort of consolidated here, hit this and used it as support back in January. So that may be significant at 71.60. And then certainly I'm going to mark the low of this candle. This feels far away from the price action at 66.79, but you never know. 66.81, actually that's good. I'll leave it right there. Some members in the room are telling me that we just hit the level I had set. So yeah, AMD's pulling right into that range. So we'll look at that. So bounced again off of the 54.47 that I just put in there. So maybe that does have some significance. We'll see. All right, good to know, right? Sometimes these levels prove to be magical. All right, so CVS, I think I'm done. Lyft, we'll move to quickly. Now Lyft. All right. Lyft has actually been down ever since its IPO. And for those that are holding, you got to. There's some people that are probably still, well, not probably. There are definitely people who are still locked in their shares and are hoping this gets back to sort of the IPO pricing. So if they start to get lucky, we've got some high side areas to set here at 56.42. I'll set, but I think the down is going to be more significant today. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Lyft moves in sympathy with Uber. So while the news is mixed, right? Remember, Lyft beat their numbers, but there was disappointment that they didn't also accelerate their guidance like Uber. Lyft may go whichever direction Uber goes. We'll see. But I'm going to set a level here at 49.78. Let me just check to see if that's right. 49.75. I like the look of that. Let me set that specifically.
Oh, well, I gotta say, I'm thinking there's going to be some divergence from that sympathy play, at least today. And the reason being, if you've got people that are looking into this sector, let's call it of ride sharing or transportation, and this ride sharing is the future, and Lyft doesn't know or can't say they're going to be profitable, and Uber has come out and said that and shown improvement, you might have people deciding on one of the other, Uber instead of the other. But just my thought process there.
Yeah, and you know what? You could be right, and it's good to, thanks for sharing that, Norm, because I think that we need to keep that in mind, right? Just because something has typically moved in sympathy doesn't mean it's going to today, right? Especially when there's news, active news, I'll say, on both companies. So, you got to keep an eye on it, and you got to play what the technicals tell you. All right, mRNA, you can see I had previously set a level here at 23.52, which is the high of this candle. I will keep that today. mRNA, I think, that was the secondary offering, so it could move down. If it does move down, well, definitely there was an area of support right here at about 1974. Let's see, where do these candles get to a low of 1960s, 1970s. So I'm going to leave that right there. It's right into the price action right now. If it goes even lower, I absolutely like this area. So $18.25, 26 cents. You can see used it as resistance back here in September, and then used it as support in December. Now it did get through that level in January, but that could be an area of support if we get down there. On the daily chart, I see that we've got this 200 moving average that's at 1774, so I'll just mark that so it shows up in my other time frames. That 200 moving average may come into play today. It's probably, if it goes lower, then we can come back and set levels. I don't know. This will be on my primary list. Again, the pre-market is not looking fantastic. I don't like when it gaps. See, there's a gap between these candles, so that means it's a little spotty and choppy. But the volume is starting to come in, so we'll watch mRNA and see what happens. CYBR. So again, down pre-market despite the news because of that soft guidance. I've got a level here at, what is the high here? 127.50. So I will just set something there. 127.50 right there. I see that it sort of peaked right here, which coincides with this gap area, which I said I like gaps. So that's about 124. Yeah, 124.50 on that one. Put it in here. That's a little bit more of a general area. And then if it gets even lower, 115, but I don't know that news will take it down there, but about 115.25. What's the low here? Sorry, 115.19. All right, I'm going to set this at 115.20. All right, and that gives me some levels there. BBBY. I definitely like the look of this. Look where the price is sitting right now, guys. I haven't even set a level, and already I see, look, sort of hesitated here and it's way down back in June, July. So that was used as a little bit of support. Resistance 2 times in September and October of last year. So absolutely right here, I'm definitely setting a level right around $11. And then I'm going to set one down here at about 9.55 where I can see it's bounced off previously. Actually, I'm going to move that up because I want some early warning if it gets to that. 9.60. It wasn't very clean. It didn't hit it to the penny, but there's a couple of areas right in there. And then certainly need to mark here these extreme lows in recent times, which is down at 9.31. 931 was the very lowest of those, so I'll just set that. So that gives me some levels to take a look at. If BBBY decides to pull back, don't forget it is down 26%, so I'll try not to be too biased in the direction. There might be an area of resistance, 1178. Right here is where it could see some resistance. 1175 actually, I'm going to set it at. If it goes up, that may set up a range for us if it decides to do a Rising Devil type play. All right, that's it. Now let's take a look at what you guys might have said we should take a look at, both on YouTube and in the room. Uber Lyft, people are looking at space. Actually, yeah, Virgin Galactic, it was at all-time highs, I think, yesterday. Don't like the pre-market. It's not doing a lot so far today, but like I said, anything at all-time highs can be of interest. So it may move again today. I don't know what the volume was looking like yesterday. Yeah, it was up a little bit compared to its average, but certainly not at all-time highs. What was the actual volume yesterday? 16 million shares. So that's some reasonable volume in space. It may be a mover today. Being at all-time highs, I don't really have any other levels other than yesterday's high that it set at 22.28. And maybe just see what happens with it. All right, what else have you guys mentioning? MELI, someone is mentioning that. That wasn't on any list. Mercado Libre. Definitely sounds like a non-US stock. I don't know anything about this. $650 stock, though. Only traded 57 shares so far today. I don't know if there's news on it, but it hasn't traded anything so far today, so not loving the look of that. NSP, somebody's mentioned. Let me take a peek at NSP. If I can type it into the right window here.
Melly looks like murder. There's no volume on it. And on top of that, it's got an ATR over $25.
Wow. That's hot. Well, it'll fit right in with some of the stuff that's been really moving recently. I mean, I think even these days, if we look at what's the ATR, and maybe Apple's not. Apple's only $8. All right. Well, that does give me a range there. All right, guys. NSP. I'm calling up here. Insperity Inc. 57,000 shares. So low volume so far today. Pretty flat. Definitely seeing a big drop though, down 21%. I don't know if there's some news driving this. If this comes into play, it is a nicey stock. Yeah, definitely there's a level down here, right, that you got to watch. I mean, the low that it spiked to here was 67.06. So somewhere right here, right around $67 certainly is a low level that if it breaks, it could run. I don't know anything about this. Wow, it certainly has been lower in the past, hasn't it? In fact, most of its life has been well below that marker. It's just in the last 2 years it's really seen rises above that. So looks like NSP has some bad news today. Let me just do a quick search using our Benzinga feed, which gives me some immediate news. And Benzinga, by the way, is available free to everybody who's a member here in the room. You get both written news as well as you can have sort of an oral news announcement, which we've all traded, well, many of us have traded off of several times, and it's good. Sometimes it'll give you a hint as something is just starting to move in the market, and you can jump in for a momentum play. I see both the downgrade, but it looks like they beat their estimates. That's what I'm seeing in the news on NSP. Well, you know what? I'm going to add it here just because it intrigues me. It's down a lot. All right. That's what I've got there. Any last thing that I've missed, guys, here? Teva, we've already looked at. BBBY, people seem to be excited about. We've already got that on the list. Last one, somebody's mentioning TBPH. Let's take a peek there. TBPH. That doesn't sound like Theravance. Theravance Bio, just based on the name Theravance, I could guess that it was a biotech. Down 5% already on SSR. Pre-market doesn't look bad on it. Must have a low ATR, which is probably why it's not. If it's not even on my list, oh no, here it is. It is on my list. The ATR is $1.16, so it must have popped up here. Norm,
yeah, nothing screams legit like a biotech based in the Cayman Islands to me.
It was a Cayman Islands based. Fantastic. Nothing could possibly go wrong with that.
And it's dropping based on news of a secondary.
Okay, secondary offering. I see that. $27 a share. They're issuing another 5.5 million in stock. Yeah, so not strong news, but that could drive it lower. All right. That's what I've got for the pre-market. Guys, my list, if I'm to narrow it down, I'm going to keep an eye on Shop just because it's a local favorite for me, but I not really to trade, to be honest. It just, I don't think it'll move. Definitely BBBY I will have on my list. Teva, because again, while the moves are small, if you manage your trades appropriately, you can get some on it. MU for sure, I'll keep an eye on, and then probably, CVS and Lyft. I'll probably have to narrow that down because I only have 3 that I'll look at primarily. My 3 are probably going to be BBBY, MU, and Lyft, and then the rest I'll put onto secondary lists. So that's it for me and for us this morning, guys. We got about 15 minutes to the market open, so do your pre-market, get ready for the open. Don't feel compelled to have to trade right at the open. Wait for your setups, and hopefully you will have a fantastic day. Norm, thanks so much, as always, for being here.
Thanks for helping us cover, Peter.
Hey, no problem. I hope that Carlos and his son get some rest, and
yes,
and that they're able to sleep through the night tomorrow night. Those are tough days, and it's makes me very appreciative that my wife and I were tag teaming on that when our kids were young, and I can't imagine how single parents do it, to be honest. It's just it's a lot of work for 2. For 1, it's Herculean. So if anybody's a single parent out there, my hat off to you, because it's tough work. So with that, have great trading today, guys, and hopefully we'll see you in the Bear Bulls trading room soon. Take care, everyone.
Trade safe. See you tomorrow.